This week's show is brought to you by Pretty Easy Podcasts, helping podcasters get their shows off the ground and running at a low cost. Go to prettyeasypodcast.com today to get started. Hit up the Contact Us section, fill out your information, and your show could be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all your favorite podcast platforms in no time. It's professional sounding podcast production done the right way at a low rate without you ever having to think about any of the production stuff. You don't have to learn how to edit. You don't have to learn how to get your show wherever you need it to get to. All you have to do is sign up with Pretty Easy Podcasts, worry about the content, worry about being creative and doing your show your way. Go to prettyeasypodcast.com.
This is the future. This is not the past.
The new XFL will kick off in 2020.
If you smell what the XFL is cooking.
It's still football, but it's professional football reimagined.
This is our moment, our story to tell. This is history begun.
This is the XFL.
Welcome, football fans. This is July 2nd, 2019. This is the road to 2020, and this is the XFL show. I'm Alan.
And I'm Vince.
More than any position in the XFL, quarterback will dictate the quality of the play when the season begins. With that said, today we are exclusively talking quarterbacks, and specifically current NFL quarterbacks we're keeping an eye on as potential XFL signal callers. So get into the pistol formation, Vince. Scan the defense. Call for the snap. It's bonus episode time, man.
Yeah, this is one I've been looking forward to. We've all been talking about how it is the quality of the play, and it starts with the quarterback
play.
Like you said, and we're going to be running down some depth charts in the NFL, and there is a lot of quality players, I think, out there that could be had by the XFL. I can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, and we have a little criteria we're going to set up here in a second. But before anything, Vince, I want you, me, all the general patrons listening live on our YouTube channel, or any subscriber to the main feed who's listening to this about a week later. I just want everybody to know there's only 3 words that matter when we're talking about these quarterbacks. Do you know what those 3 words are, Vince?
I'm going to guess good, crisp football.
Good, crisp football. That's it.
I'm not quite sure.
You should be sure. You should be so sure. It is good, crisp football. That's all that's all we care about. This isn't about rooting for certain guys. This isn't about, biases against their colleges or anything they've done. This is just all about hopefully having the 8 best possible XFL quarterbacks, and many of them might already be on NFL rosters, and that's what we're going to look at today. Vince, do you believe that all 8 XFL quarterbacks that will start game 1 are currently on NFL rosters?
I'd say at least 50% are on this list here, maybe more. Guys could come out of nowhere. I mean, there were some quality quarterbacks that we saw listed in those showcases, so you'd think you'd see some from there. But I guess I'd say at least 50%. That's where I'll stand.
Did someone either someone's watching the Women's World Cup on delay at your house, or someone saw a bug?
It was the former there.
Good. That's a good thing. Well, we're all happy for the U.S. women. You said 50%. I'm going to say not all 8. I'm with you there, but I'm going to say at least 5.
Yeah, I think that's a fair number.
Maybe. And I would bet on 6. I would bet on 6 are currently on NFL rosters going into training camp, which we're 3 weeks away from. So this is going to be fun to watch training camp this year for teams other than the team you root for, I think, Vince, because I'm going to be, keeping my ear to the ground on every quarterback situation throughout the league, which we're going to run through it today. But to begin with, to make things clear, we are only talking quarterbacks currently on NFL rosters. You said, Vince, we saw some good quarterbacks at these showcases. We're not talking about those guys today. We're talking about those quarterbacks who are slotted to be third and fourth string quarterbacks in the NFL currently on depth charts. We will bring up some second stringers maybe, but for the most part, we're going to be talking about third and fourth stringers, and we're going to look at the bottoms of these depth charts and see who might end up being in the XFL. Credit to ourlads.com. If you don't know about Our Lads, they run one of the finest football websites, especially when it comes to depth chart updating. They do it pretty much every single day. So you can really scan through the rosters and pick and choose which players you want to see in the XFL, who you think will be in the XFL, and that's what we're going to do today, Vince.
Yeah, that sounds good. Let's get to it.
All right, we're going to run down each of the 32 teams first. We'll chat a little bit about the back end of the quarterback situation, and then at the end of the show, Vince and I are going to categorize these quarterbacks into three categories. Potential XFL player, strictly an NFL player, and then the third category is it's going to be our ideal XFL player. This category can include guys we designate as strictly NFL, Vince, but we're going to say ideal XFL player. The league should go at this person as hard as possible, even if there is no hope. And we're, of course, talking third and fourth stringers here, Vince. So I think most of these guys the XFL has a good shot at.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Let's start with the Buffalo Bills, who only have three quarterbacks currently on their depth chart: Josh Allen, Matt Barkley, and Tyree Jackson, who is a rookie quarterback coming out of Buffalo, Vince. Tyree Jackson, someone you're keeping your eye on, 6'7", 250-pound quarterback.
Yeah, tall drink of water there. But they went after this kid, a rookie. So they must feel good about him. They must feel confident that he's going to make the team, I would think. Josh Allen's their guy, and Matt Barkley, a capable backup, I would say. So I think that they're going to have this guy just waiting in the wings.
Yep. Don't think he'll be on any of our lists at the end. And just not even I wouldn't even say ideal XFL, just because there is zero chance at getting him. But to the Dolphins, with a quarterback situation, they got two I'll say one extremely mediocre quarterback and one potentially really good quarterback, Rosen and Fitzpatrick, and then it's Jake Rudock, the former Michigan quarterback. Vince, what do you think about him?
I like Jake Rudock as a player. I really do. But it'll be interesting. Some of these teams, and this may be a theme going about here, is, some teams only keep two quarterbacks. And, they try to keep a third guy on a practice squad situation. So it'll be interesting to see if he, sticks around. They only got three guys. You'd think they'd try to hold on to him.
Yeah, and it's also interesting to note whenever you see other teams with a bunch of quarterbacks or maybe some veterans who aren't even signed right now, that third spot could be occupied by someone like that instead of Jake Rudock, who I think is the perfect kind of candidate you're looking at, who could be a practice squatter. Doubt the Dolphins, especially with a defensive-minded coach coming in. Do you think most teams just do 2 game day quarterbacks now, right? So
yeah,
I'm going to say he's looking at a practice squad situation or a shot at the XFL. Does the XFL want him? I don't know if I'm with you on that. Is he athletic enough is my question for the fast pace of the XFL. That's a good point.
Yeah, you got a point there.
So you could put him in whatever category you want here, Vince, if you want to keep track of yours. I'm going to say potential for sure, but I wouldn't mark him as my ideal XFL quarterback.
I wouldn't say he.
Nope. You there? Sounds like we lost you. We'll try to get Vince back here. As we are live on YouTube for the general patrons. Yeah, we got you back. You there?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd say potential. He could end up there, but I still see an NFL team holding on to him.
All right, as we go through the AFC East, this is going to be a fun one because I'm looking at 2 quarterbacks on the back end of the Patriots roster that I would call ideal XFL quarterbacks. And you laugh because you think this is some sort of SEC bias because I covered both these players for a while. But they're just both guys who are athletic who could play well in a league like this, I think. Danny Etling and Jarrett Stidham. Jarrett Stidham, I give absolutely zero chance at being an XFL quarterback. He was just taken in the draft. But Danny Etling, for sure, I think has a shot at it. And you're talking about a guy who ran a 90-yard touchdown run in a preseason in an NFL game. He's got the athleticism. I don't know about the accuracy, but I think he could do some things in one of those offenses in the XFL. How about you?
Yeah, this Etling kid, I think this is the XFL is where he belongs. I think that's his kind of league. I think you're right on the Patriots drafting Stidham. They're not going to waste a draft pick on a quarterback unless they really like the kid. So I think unless he does absolutely horribly, who knows? Maybe they'll cut both of them and sign somebody else. But, I think Etling, he's destined for there. I agree.
I'd say Jarrett Stidham, not potential XFL bound. Danny Etling, potentially XFL bound. Ideal XFL player for Danny Etling, he's on the fence for me. I don't know. The accuracy's not there. Brian Hoyer, the journeyman quarterback's the second stringer. No chance, right, in New England there?
I think he hangs on.
We can move on. Luke Falk and Davis Webb are on the back end of the Jets roster, sitting behind Sam Darnold and Trevor Siemian, who joined them this year as a free agent. You have one quarterback who was touted as a potential heir to Eli Manning once upon a time. Luke Falk jumps from Miami to the Jets, probably, I think, just to provide information and not be an actual player on that team. So Luke Falk, I would say, is a potential XFL player, especially considering he's played air raid football.
Yeah, Washington State, big fan of this kid. I hope he's in the XFL. I like him a lot.
I would say Luke Falk is my ideal XFL quarterback, and if you are an XFL Dallas fan or XFL Houston fan or any fan of a team that's probably going to be chucking it a lot, I think you want Luke Falk. He's done it. He knows how to do it. We'll see what happens with him. What about Davis Webb, though? He leaves the Giants, and he's now a Jet. He joined them end of last year, right? He obviously, would you consider him a bust? Was he drafted high enough to be considered a bust?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think anybody had tremendously high expectations for him.
No, but 6'5" quarterback who was supposed to do Eli things. Eli never went away. Even in Eli's worst years, Davis Webb couldn't overtake him, so that might say something. Also, I think the Jets are going to hold on to 3 QBs. Let's go down to our last. I know that was our last AFC East team we've gone through. Let's switch it over to the NFC to keep away from just the monotony of one conference. The Dallas Cowboys. Ooh, not a lot behind Dak Prescott, huh? Mike White is their third stringer. Cooper Rush is the immediate backup behind DP.
Yeah, I mean, is this a situation where, they're looking around to bring somebody in, waiting for somebody else to get cut?
100%. I'm ready to almost bet the farm that one of those backups in the NFC East currently, not on the Cowboys, is going to be Dak Prescott's immediate backup. And I'm looking at someone like Colt McCoy. Because they get Case Keenum, right? The Redskins, and they draft Dwayne Haskins. Alex Smith is sitting there trying to recover from horrific injury. The Colt McCoy's done in Washington. He's got to be.
Yeah, you would think so. Probably not much use for him there, I guess.
What about
they got too much tied up in these other guys?
What about young Mike White, who was unsigned out of Western Kentucky by the Dallas Cowboys, 6'5", 24-year-old quarterback?
He's probably a camp arm. Yeah, probably keeping a seat warm.
He's only but he's only the third arm there right now.
I know. Well, he might stick around. Who knows? But I'm sure the XFL will be eyeing him, and I think that's a theme here. Is that especially these first 2 preseason games for each team, those third and fourth quarters are going to be really interesting with a lot of eyeballs from XFL folk.
It's the quality of the play.
In the preseason, especially, the quality of your play will determine. Cooper Rush is their main backup. I mean, come on. He wasn't. What's going on in Dallas? I would almost venture to say, come February, I guess whenever the rosters get settled before then, maybe they'll be all settled by December. Maybe by December, XFL Dallas might have a better quarterback depth chart than the Dallas Cowboys.
You might be right. I mean, I saw some other bad ones. The one in particular that I think is worse, and we'll be getting to that, but this is close to it, I think.
Yeah, it's bad. I don't want any of those guys in the XFL unless they want to give them Dak Prescott. All right, let's go to the Giants. Eric Dungey, Kyle Lauletta, Alex Tanney are the three guys behind Eli Manning and Daniel Jones. I got to believe they're going to keep three on that team just because of the elderly Manning and the inexperience of Jones, but all those other guys are pretty damn inexperienced too. And Eric Dungey, exciting college player. I don't know if I want him in the XFL. Can that guy throw?
Really? Yes, he can. Absolutely. This
Syracuse quarterback.
I feel like this guy's got a lot of moxie. He's
a tough SOB, Eric Dungey. I'll give him that for sure.
I think, and he ran some good offense with Syracuse. I really think so. I mean, they had a good wide receiving core, but he was able to get the ball to him. I really like this kid. If I was an XFL team, I would target him, but I got to think that somebody in the NFL is going to be latching onto this kid if the Giants don't elect to keep him here. I mean, that's interesting, keeping two rookies behind Eli Manning, but maybe they'll do that.
You convinced me. I marked him as a potential. Super young and super athletic and tough. Well, not super athletic. I just say tough and willing to be athletic. But what about Kyle Lauletta and Alex Tanney? I mean, Kyle Lauletta out of Richmond, Alex Tanney out of Monmouth, both small school guys. Tanney's been all over. He's, I think, played in a camp with every team in the last 4 years. And then the Giants got Lauletta as well, a couple years ago. So you got to imagine one of those guys sticks around as the more veteran guy.
I don't know. Are they going to go with four quarterbacks? Are they going to let Dungey go?
I'd say they're going to let Dungey go. They didn't even draft him. He's unsigned, right? I mean,
I know it surprises me.
He's an unsigned free agent. Would you want Lauletta or Tanney in the XFL, or do you think they could be XFL players?
Neither of them excite me. Do you?
I like Kyle Lauletta a little bit as an XFL quarterback. If you talk about a mature quarterback who's run teams and been team captain, and everybody was trying to say was some kind of Jimmy Garoppolo when he came out. Not that I would say you hoot and holler about that either, but I think that'd be a coup. But I think Kyle Lauletta's got NFL chances in him. I think he'd be advised against it. Alex Tanney, don't know about him. I mean, he's in his 30s. I'd say no. I would want all these quarterbacks to be under 28 if I'm an XFL.
That's interesting proposition there. Yeah, I agree with you.
Would you? Yeah. The Eagles, they have some youngsters behind Carson Wentz. Nate Sudfeld's going nowhere, but after him, it's Clay Thorson, rookie, and Cody Kessler.
Well, they drafted Thorson, I believe.
Yeah,
correct.
Rookie out of Northwestern.
Yeah. So you got to think Kessler's the odd man out, I would think. And this is a guy with some NFL experience. I could see other teams eyeing him if indeed he is released, which makes him an XFL target. And I could see him ended up there.
I mean, he's, I'd say, an undersized quarterback who doesn't have the rocket arm I think you would need to be that small. But, USC guy, he'll get a shot in LA. We'll see. I'll say he's a potential Cody Kessler. I don't know if I'd want him. No, having seen him on the field, he's had NFL snaps. I mean, wasn't he on a team where he got absolutely murdered
think he was with the Browns.
Yes,
Brown?
yes, and it was violent when he was out there. All right, back to the Redskins. We brought them up a little bit. Colt McCoy situation, fascinating. They also have AAF standout Josh Woodrum, who I believe played for Utah, and Alex Smith, who's sitting there with half a leg. What do you think about the quarterback situation with Washington as it relates to the XFL?
Yeah, like you said, hard to believe Colt McCoy is going to be, the third man there. So
Colt McCoy's too good of a piece to have if you're Washington to not get something for. I mean, there's going to be some team desperate for a quarterback at some point, and you got to believe.
Are you going to be trading this guy? Maybe
I think you could get a bag of balls for him if you need it. I mean, someone's going to need a quarterback with experience, and I don't know. Colt McCoy would seem to fit that bill. What chance do you give of him playing in the XFL?
It's probably 30%.
I'd put it lower. I'd put it under 10. Definitely not for Bob Stoops. But we'll see. Josh Woodrum, what about him? The AAF standout QB. Could you see Colt McCoy going away, but they keep him on? Pretty solid backup situation they have in Washington.
I guess I'm going to see how these guys perform.
I'm going to say Woodrum is a guy who's got to probably show that he could do what Colt McCoy does at a cheaper price, and then they'll do whatever they want to do with him after. But I see one of those guys I would say is potential XFL. If Colt McCoy gets cut, I would expect an NFL team to pick him up, but maybe I'll put it at 20%. Maybe the lure of actually playing in the XFL, I'll put him as a potential. Alex Smith, any shot at the XFL for him? No, I'm kidding. We don't have to talk about Alex Smith. Let's go to the AFC North. The Ravens. I, a while back, was saying RG3. Now I give him 0.0 chance. And then they draft Trace McSorley, who's going to be playing some, slash position. He's going to be doing everything.
I don't know. This is the worst quarterback room in the NFL, maybe ever. I mean, this is bad.
Let's say, first of all, for the worst quarterback room in terms of players you dislike immensely ever. That's for sure. You don't like any of these players because you are a Steeler and a Pitt fan. Be honest.
I got nothing against Lamar Jackson. I have nothing against RG3. I think Trace McSorley's a punk, but I mean, these guys are awful. They can't possibly be going into the season with this room. I don't. They have to. You want to talk about somewhere where Colt McCoy should be going? This is probably it.
Do you think he could start for the Ravens?
Yeah, but I will say, on the topic of the XFL. Not to talk too much NFL here, but Trace McSorley is somebody, he is I don't like him, but he's a tough dude. No doubt about that. And, is he good crisp football? I don't think so.
Yeah. But they're all calling him the next Taysom Hill.
Okay. But he can get the job done. I think he's probably a little too small to be a Taysom Hill. But this is somebody, if your league is built on pace and athleticism, he's somebody that should be targeted by the XFL. I think he should at least get a shot there. But he's wrapped up with the Ravens right now.
Players like him are interesting in the Taysom Hill experiment in New Orleans. If other teams are able to do that, like the Ravens seem to be trying, these athletic quarterbacks who don't get to actually play quarterback but still get utilized, that's not good for the XFL because normally a guy like him might be sitting on the bench doing nothing, getting angry, but now they might be incorporated into the playbook. So that's something the changing game of the NFL could affect who's available for the XFL. I wouldn't say anybody's available on the Ravens in the Ravens locker room at quarterback. How about the Bengals? They draft Ryan Finley to probably replace Andy Dalton. So behind them, it's Jeff Driscoll and Jacob Dolegala. who was a quarterback for Central Connecticut State, apparently, and is a big, tall 6'5".
Yeah, I really like Jeff Driscoll. I think, he's, given an opportunity, he could really develop. You got a new regime there. So are they going to keep him? I think it depends on where they feel Ryan Finley is at. If he's progressed on, then, maybe they do get rid of a Jeff Driscoll, who I think the XFL should target. But, if they don't think Finley's going to be ready, then Jacob might be on the outside looking in.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the Central Connecticut guy, so I don't want, as Jake would say, I don't want to try to speak intelligently on him. But Jeff Driscoll, I feel like he's been playing in front of a national audience for years. He played for, Florida, played for Louisiana Tech. He got some reps with the Bengals, and that's what you want. Quarterbacks who have not only are on NFL teams, but have had reps in NFL games, good, bad, or indifferent, especially at only 26. I'd say he's definitely potential and maybe damn near an ideal XFL quarterback, Jeff Driscoll, who possesses some athleticism, enough accuracy, I think, to fit one of these offenses. Let's go to the Browns, who have a very interesting one because they have, I'd say, the AAF MVP, and Garrett Gilbert is their third stringer, sitting behind Drew Stanton, who I'd say is probably, when preseason's over, going to be overtaken by Garrett Gilbert, who looked amazing in the AAF.
Yeah, absolutely. But if Stanton, he's somebody with NFL experience. I would imagine if he got cut, another team would want to pick him up. They do have David Plow out of Colorado, I believe. Purdue, excuse me. He's somebody who's played in a wide open offense, and I guess has maybe that kind of experience that could help out in the XFL and be a play. I'm not sure teams are going to be blown away from him, but I could see him ending up there if he doesn't catch on immediately in the NFL.
Yeah, I was going to say David Blau. I mean, even though Garrett Gilbert was recently in a spring league, I think he played his way onto an NFL team for the rest of the season. Drew Stanton, who I think the shots he's gotten, he's been very underwhelming in the NFL, could maybe fall backwards. And I don't know if a team would pick him up. But David Blau has the youth, the experience playing for, just coming playing from an offense like that at Purdue. He might be not ideal, but it's as good, close as you're going to get is to drafting a big school quarterback to the XFL right from college. If you're looking at rookies, he's one of them, I think, that the XFL could be targeting.
Yeah.
And there's one of them coming up in when we get to the AFC West that I'm really digging as well. But we're still in the AFC North. The Steelers. No Big Ben, no Mason Rudolph going anywhere. What about Josh Dobbs or Devlin Hodges? Josh Dobbs, very interesting because I could have said last year he should have been the second string quarterback to Big Ben. He pretty much was. He did come in for one play, 2 plays, amazing plays. I don't think I think those plays alone and his athleticism, it would be a score for the XFL to land Josh Dobbs, who's literally a rocket scientist. But I don't think there's any chance at the XFL getting him, and he would be an ideal XFL quarterback.
Yeah, I agree with you, but odds are the Steelers hang on to him.
I think the Steelers hang on to Big Ben, Mason Rudolph, and Josh Dobbs, at least Josh Dobbs for one more year, and then we'll see where he goes. What do you know about Devlin Hodges, the Samford quarterback?
Yeah, I believe he was drafted, or was he an unrestricted free agent?
Free agent. Mm-hmm.
He's just a camp arm. I don't know too much about him, but the Steelers, I believe, are pretty set in their quarterback room. And
man, I would say, would you say Dobbs though ideal quarterback for the XFL?
Yeah, absolutely. In the NFL, pro style, maybe not quite his game, but somebody who's certainly smart enough and has an arm and athleticism that could really excel in an XFL situation.
The more I think about it, going back to David Plow, I just realized he played under Jeff Brom too. To have a quarterback who played for him. Also look at the guys that these players have been coached by. That's going to go a long way, I think, in terms of the quality of the play in the XFL. Playing for a guy like Jeff Brom, he does a lot for quarterbacks, don't you think? There's a lot of guys in this league that have benefited from playing for basically quarterback gurus.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at Patrick Mahomes right now, the big hot commodity.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's saying Cliff Kingsbury. He's that guy.
God's gift to football, Cliff Kingsbury. Let's take it to the NFC North and see the Bears, who have Chase Daniel behind Mitch Trubisky, solid there, and then Tyler Bray, who is the third-string quarterback, the only third-stringer there. What do you think of Tyler Bray?
Yeah, he's a guy that's bounced around a lot in his career. They signed him. I imagine that they're gonna stay with him. I don't necessarily think he's a big hot commodity for the XFL, but I guess if he would somehow get cut, they could be after him.
Did he ever beat an SEC team when he was at Tennessee? I don't know.
Well,
I got to say,
what year would that have been?
I don't know. I'm just impressed that there's still a Tennessee We just talked about 2 Tennessee quarterbacks still in the NFL in their mid-20s. I feel like they haven't produced anything at that position in a while, but Dobbs is, of course, the only one. Bray, I don't know how he's still surviving on practice squads, not to diminish him at all. I'm just not super impressed. No one from the Bears. What about the Lions? David Fales comes from the Dolphins. He's behind Tom Savage and Matt Stafford.
I think it's a similar situation to the to the Bears that we just talked about, where you got a guy who's been around on a bunch of different teams, and they've obviously chosen him as the third guy. He's got NFL experience. I think they kind of know what they have in him.
Yep. Also, you want a quarterback named Fales? That's like having a kicker named Blewett. Do you really want that at the end? I'll take the kicker named Blewett over the quarterback named Fales. I'll say that. The Green Bay Packers have Manny Wilkins, Tim Boyle behind Aaron Rodgers and DeShone Kizer.
It's another interesting one.
I like Manny Wilkins coming from playing for Herm
Edwards.
Yeah. I mean, athlete.
Yeah, certainly an athlete. Is he maybe he is the kind of guy that would really shine in the XFL.
Yeah, both these guys are not. Well, one guy's a rookie, and then Tim Boyle's only 24, Eastern Kentucky quarterback. I mean, a guy like Tim Boyle, who the hell, he's kind of just feels really bland. If you look at any scouting report on him, if you ever watched any tape on him, which I haven't, but he just looks like he almost looks like a generic Madden created player. Where Manny Wilkins, you watched him play Pac-12 football, running around, and he's picked up as a rookie by Green Bay. He's dipping his toe in, but he's definitely not going to make an NFL roster, I would say. Undersized quarterback, but if he's special enough in the athlete department, that's something the XFL needs to be looking at. I'll mark him as a potential for the end of the show. The Vikings have Kyle Slaughter and Jake Browning behind Sean Mannion and Kirk Cousins.
Big Jake Browning fan. I think this guy is going to make the club. I don't think the XFL is going to have a chance at him. But if they did, absolutely go after this kid.
You think Jake Browning makes it?
I think he's going to make the Vikings. I really do. But if he does not somehow, the XFL, that's where I think a lot of these quarterbacks who, either get drafted very late or don't get drafted at all and end up being this like fourth odd man out kind of guy. you go to the XFL for 1 year and really show what you got, and that could really open some eyes. And then, boom, you're back in the NFL the next year.
Now, I definitely call him ideal, because especially if you can get him in Seattle, which we're not allocating to certain cities, but Jake Browning, would you say, what do we put the percentage at him being an XFL player at?
Well, that's the thing. I think he's going to make an NFL roster. So
0%.
That's yeah. I will say 25%.
Let's go back to the AFC now. Man, I would love if Jake Browning could get in. He's definitely an ideal. AFC South. I can't believe you need to have way more than this behind Shawn Watson with the offensive line you have in Houston. What are they doing? Joe Webb and A.J. McCarron, the two quarterbacks behind Watson. I mean, with a guy that you know is going to get hurt.
They're not ideal backups, but they've guys that have got NFL experience. I mean, they're both going to make the roster. I don't.
Yeah, they have to. In Houston, they're trying to shore up their offensive line, but I don't see either Webb or McCarron going anywhere. The Colts. Here's an interesting one. So they have Phillip Walker, and they have the guy I've pegged as my XFL MVP, Chad Kelly, getting his fourth chance after some run-ins with the law.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they let him in the league with those run-ins with the law. But I like this kid. The kid's got a ton of swagger. He can play. He can play some ball. No doubt about that.
If I could turn this into this is the XFL conspiracy show for just a second. Is it unfathomable to think that the Colts signed Chad Kelly, not hoping that he'll be their third stringer or second stringer, or even hoping he'll be on the practice squad? Do you think they only signed him so that Andrew Luck can assess him and tell Oliver Luck what he thinks about him before the XFL signs him as a player? It's like a pre-interview assessment.
I don't know if they need to be going to those lengths. I mean, they could call up any NFL team and ask about.
Yeah, but could they in the locker room with Andrew Luck during all of training camp? Maybe they're going to share bunks at the camp there. I don't know how the Colts are doing it.
I don't think Andrew Luck's sharing a bunk with anybody.
Not well. I definitely would peg Chad Kelly as a potential XFL quarterback, but ideal anymore because of the run-ins in the law. Because if you take that away, hell yeah, he's an ideal XFL quarterback.
Yeah, we'll find out. Supposedly they're not gonna have a lot of troublemakers in this league. But I guess we'll find out.
Well, I think that's kind of being eased up on. We've seen some players invited to camps already that have similar histories. Phillip Walker, the Temple quarterback, what about him?
I don't know. I guess he's. I'm not. He doesn't excite me. I'll say that.
The name doesn't. But if you know anything, I mean, he was a winner in college. This is a guy who is one of those grinder type quarterbacks, undersized, won football games, probably games he shouldn't have won. I could see either or. I'm going to go 50-50. One of those guys, Kelly or Walker, will be an XFL quarterback.
Interesting.
Let's go to the Jaguars. Nick Foles, Tanner Lee, and then behind them it's Gardner Minshew the second and Alex Magoo.
I know we're both big Gardner Minshew fans.
Is there anybody who isn't? I bet you people who like Washington and UW like Gardner Minshew. They have to.
Yeah, he's making an NFL team. So maybe Alex Magoo might find his way to the XFL. Although
I get it. Find his way. Yeah.
Although I don't know too much about Mr. Magoo, but
Mr. Magoo was recently waived by Seattle, just so you know.
I don't see him making an NFL roster. He could make his way to the XFL, but I don't see him being a top tier one kind of guy.
I'm trying to fathom a way Gardner Minshew. Nope, no way. We want him, but there's no way. They didn't draft him, did they? Was he a draft pick?
I thought they did. I believe so.
Yeah.
Looks like the 6th round here from these notes.
Yep. 6th round of 2019. No chance at Gardner Minshew, unfortunately. Ideal XFL quarterback?
Gardner?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely, me too. Alex Magoo, off the list completely. What about a Tanner Lee? Is he really an NFL second stringer?
I guess he's going to have to be.
Did I wake up in a world where people are having Nebraska quarterbacks as their safety precaution?
The black shirts are back.
I don't know about that. Logan Woodside is backing up a pretty solid tandem in Marcus Mariota and Ryan Tannehill in Tennessee. Logan Woodside coming from the San Antonio Commanders of the AAF, I believe.
Yeah, he's probably going to make it as the 3rd guy.
You would venture to guess that the Titans keep. Yeah, they're going to keep him either way. Yeah. That's a guy also, I'd say, like Garrett Gilbert. He played his way into the league with the AAF. Let's go to the NFC South now, where the Falcons have Ben Kurt backing up Matt Ryan and Matt Schaub, who's returned to the Falcons, I believe.
Yeah, Ben Kurt hasn't really impressed me, but I guess if he's the 3rd guy there, he's going to make it.
I don't know about that. Like we said, there's going to by these 3rd guys. Even if you're the only quarterback behind the solidified backup quarterback, you're not making a roster or practice squad per se, because there are a ton of guys out there who are going to get cut or leave or even traded to replace you. Like, you don't see the Falcons maybe shoring things up with a Colt McCoy if someone gets dinged up.
They might.
Or if a better, younger quarterback than Ben Kurt becomes available after getting cut, he gets replaced. I mean, we're about to talk about JT Barrett in New Orleans, who might have a shot.
He's on my list as somebody who's going to the XFL. So I'll say that one right now.
Yeah. Well, before we get to the Saints, let's go Carolina. They draft Will Grier, and they have Kyle Allen behind Heineke and Cam Newton.
Yeah, I think Kyle Allen's got some potential. I do not.
Hell yeah.
I do not think Will Grier is that great. But they did draft him, so I suppose he's going to make the ball club.
Oh, Kyle Allen, I got for sure as a potential. Yeah. It's so young, and I mean, XFL Houston. If these coaches have any say in who they get, I know June Jones wasn't there with him, but coming from Houston or even Dallas might even pick up a player like that. Anyone who's played in one of those spread out offenses, where you're asked to do multiple things, air raid, throwing it deep, throwing it quick. I mean, I would say not an ideal guy, but definitely a potential high percentage he gets a shot at the XFL, or at least a call from league officials.
Yeah.
Will Grier 0. The Saints. I mean, This is the first team we know they're 3 quarterbacks. They're not going. Yeah. Taysom Hill's not going anywhere. JT Barrett, though, you said is XFL bound.
I think so. I don't think any other NFL team's going to be banging on his door. But he's going to be the odd man out there, and I think he could succeed in the XFL. I really do.
That depends, though. We'll see if other teams come calling to him. Like I said, Ben Kurt. But JT Barrett, it's interesting. Is there an Ohio? I feel like there's a severe lack of Ohio State presence in the XFL, or even Big Ten.
In the XFL,
yeah, even Big Ten. Relationships. Like, say you want to lure JT Barrett, and you want to maybe use someone who's got an Ohio State connection or something like that. Do they have anyone like that to lure those kind of players? We've got a lot of SEC and Big 12 connections in the league.
I don't think conference affiliation's really going to matter that much.
I don't say conference affiliate, but I'm saying the teams in those conferences, like, you've got a lot of ability to get USC and UCLA guys. You've got people who are going to get you OU guys and Texas guys. And I don't know about how you're going to score, convince these players maybe who are good, who played in the Big Ten to get there, except, Pep's got the Michigan connection.
Yeah. Are you saying he's not going to pick JT Barrett then?
No, I'm just saying, like, when you reach out to these players, because it's going to be kind of a free agent process, you want to have someone they recognize or they have a relationship with. It's someone like JT Barrett might be more difficult than someone, say, like, I don't know, who do we talk about yet that has that connection? Like a Luke Falk,
Yeah.
So, the Bucks, we'll go to the Bucks now. Ryan Griffin and Nick Fitzgerald sit behind Blaine Gabbert in Jameis Winston.
Nick Fitzgerald, I like him as a player. I just don't think he's an NFL guy.
He's not, but in the new NFL, is he? You're talking about a big dude who could throw it good enough and can run offense out of a shotgun very well.
Can he throw it good enough? And, you can't just, be a battering ram quarterback in the NFL. That's not.
Could he be in the XFL?
He could be in the XFL.
I think players like Nick Fitzgerald are really being tailor-made for the XFL, or the XFL's tailor-made making their game for him because of all the important short yardage plays that are going to happen in the XFL, and with the double forward pass, a player like him I would definitely tab as ideal, especially coming straight out of college right now.
Yeah, I agree with you.
We'll see what happens with him. I would bet the Bucks keep him for some reason. I have a hunch. Let's go to the AFC West, our final AFC division. The Broncos, behind Drew Lock and Joe Flacco, have Kevin Hogan and Brett Rippon. Brett Rippon, who I really like, another youngster, I think, who could thrive in the XFL. And then Kevin Hogan, with all these Stanford connections in the league, you could definitely see him playing.
You could. Yeah, either of those guys, I really could see. whoever doesn't make the team here is going to end up in the XFL. I'm with you. I really like Brett Rippon. This seems like his kind of league. Yeah, and Hogan's, he's got some experience there.
Was Hogan the immediate heir to Luck in Stanford?
Ooh,
He joined the NFL. I'm looking it up in 2016. So, yeah, he'd have to have been. Or maybe once removed.
So if they keep ripping, are they really going to have two rookies behind Flacco? I don't know if they're necessarily going to want to do that.
That's interesting. So then I think Rippon has a good shot. I'd say Denver's one of the top. Denver and Indy are probably the top two quarterback scenarios I'm watching through training camp. To our general patrons and anyone listening to this on our delay, those two camps, I would say, if you're going to be clicking it to the NFL Network, seeing what's up at the training camps, and you want to read anything about backup quarterback situations, I'd like those two for sure, because I definitely think we could see some high caliber XFL talent on those teams, leaving them after the camps and the season starts in the NFL. The Chiefs have Kyle Shermer, John Lovett, and Chase Litton behind Chad Henne and Patty Mahomes.
Yeah, there's a lot of guy there. Shermer, he he's gone up against the big time competition. I suppose he could be somebody, but then you also got Litton there, who's got 1 year under his belt. I don't know if that helps or not. Maybe they want to stick with him. But I guess maybe at the end of the day, as for an XFL team, I'm not tremendously enthused by any of these gentlemen. I'm
not, but I would keep an eye out on all three of them as potentials, just because they're all so young. Mm-hmm. And the oldest of them, I think, is Chase Litton, and he's 23. Young quarterbacks who could be developed still, I think are going to be nice if the XFL can get those kind of players. And here's now LA Chargers situation. that Oliver Luck, in an article in The Athletic, cited himself, talking about Cardell Jones, who's playing behind Tyrod Taylor and Phil Rivers. Pretty damn good tandem there. Cardell Jones and Easton Stick are the two backups to those guys in LA.
Yeah, Cardell Jones, it's possible his time's run out in the NFL.
It sounded like Oliver Luck really wants him.
Yeah, and hey, why not? I mean, he's at one time he was somebody who's talked about being, a top 5 NFL draft pick. There was a lot of hype around this kid at one point. Why not? I mean, I'm not saying he's great, but for an XFL, sure.
I am going to say that because he was cited, I would take that as the XFL will reach out to him. So definitely a potential ideal Cardell Jones. I don't know. I guess so. Yeah. Cause he's young enough and still is, pretty damn good athlete. So we'll see. But there's other guys I would choose above him. Easton Stick's a rookie, North Dakota State. Yeah, I don't know. Undersized, probably not. The Raiders have Mike Glennon behind Derek Carr and Nathan Peterman. They cut Landry Jones and kept Nathan Peterman.
It hasn't worked out for him so far in the NFL, at least production-wise. But I think John Gruden would agree that this guy's a football player.
This guy is a football player. That cannot be debated. But other things about the quality of his play can be debated.
Yeah, he's somebody who would do well in the XFL. I really believe that. But he's right now he's the third guy on that roster. So I presume that they're going to keep
data, however you want to say that word.
I would say the data behind Nathan Peterman is stay away. XFL or NFL, but I'm rooting for him to be a Raider for sure, and hopefully the starting Raiders quarterback at some point this year. I don't know. What a mess. Final rundown of a division here, the NFC West. Kyler Murray comes in. He's backed up by Brett Hundley in Arizona, and then after him it is Chad Canoff and Drew Anderson, who are not made-up names from NCAA 14, Vince.
Yeah, could have been. I don't know. I don't know anything about either.
We're not scouts. See, we're not scouts. We could tell you who we've watched in a lot of college football and read about. These are deep-cut names. So,
yeah. Once you go beyond Division I, it gets a little difficult. But yeah, if either of these, I guess maybe one of them's going to make the team in Arizona.
Yeah, but let me just say this also. If it's announced the XFL has signed their 8 Tier 1 quarterbacks, every guy making over $250,000, some up to 6, and one of them is Chad Canoff. Is it Chad Canoff, Tier 1 player in the XFL? Is your reaction going to be a lot of murmuring and saying what?
Well, I mean, I'm willing to give everybody a chance. The quality of the play is what's going to be important. Maybe these guys will be able to fit in and really spin it out there.
There's got to be some sort of amazing scouting report on one of these guys for them to get a Tier 1 contract, I would think. John Wolford, Brandon Allen in LA with the Rams are behind Blake Bortles and Jared Goff. What do you think about those two? I believe Wolford was with San Diego in the AAF, possibly.
Okay.
I know he's an ACC quarterback, right?
Yeah, Wake Forest.
Wake. And Brandon Allen's the Arkansas quarterback, who I was never a real big fan of, and I watched a lot of him play, undersized.
I mean, again, one of these guys is going to make it, but somebody might be destined for the XFL here, but I don't see Tier 1 player in either of these guys.
I could actually. I could see it. I could see
Wow.
it happening because of the experience of Wolford. And not that Brandon Allen's bad and undersized. It's just that I've seen he got murdered a lot playing the quarterback position. And we got a message here from one of the general patrons. Wolford was with the Arizona Hotshots in the AAF. I knew I'd recognize the name. San Francisco 49ers. They've got Wilton Spate and C.J. Beathard and Nick Mullins behind the God's gifted quarterbacks, Jimmy Garoppolo.
I really like C.J. Beathard.
I really like Nick Mullins, who I think is going to be a starting quarterback in the NFL one day.
All right, so we both think those guys are going to make it. So I guess Wilton Spate is not.
Oh, but he's so bad. Oh, I
don't think he's good either.
His only chance is if Pep Hamilton loves him.
Yeah. So, but he's not tier 1 potential, I think.
I don't think any of those guys could play in the XFL. Two of them because I think they're just way too ingrained and liked by NFL people. The Seahawks, our final team, they bring in Paxton Lynch and Geno Smith to back up Russell Wilson. All the money in Russell Wilson, so that's all you get behind him. You better hope he always plays. Otherwise, it could get ugly there for Pete Carroll. Or maybe Pete Carroll makes one of those guys look like a Pro Bowler.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Geno Smith is not good. And I don't think he would be good in the XFL. I just don't think his game lends to that. Now, Paxton Lynch, I've heard some reports out there that he was, being targeted for the XFL, but you got to think that he makes the team though in Seattle.
He's currently listed as their immediate backup to the highest paid quarterback in the world.
Geno Smith's not the backup, so
Could you see Geno Smith being an XFL quarterback? I would hope that Mr. Oliver Luck would, just put aside his love for his alma mater and realize that Geno Smith he's a little past due if we're just talking straight up, player assessment. He's just a little bit long in the tooth. Not even that old, but so many chances and has failed, right? I mean, just not looked good at all. But then again, that is in the NFL, and this is a different game in the XFL.
Yep.
I would say he's a possibility, and that brings us to our final list here. So we want to thank all the general patrons who listened live on the YouTube channel. If you're a Patreon, you join the Patreon on whatever tier. If you're part of the Good Crisp Football tier,
Good crisp football.
more often than not, that's the tier where most live shows are going towards. Sometimes we'll lower it, but the Good Crisp Football tier gets you the live shows, and sometimes we'll do these live shows. We'll know about them well in advance, like this one. Sometimes we randomly turn on the microphones and we do a show, and you get to listen live on the YouTube channel. We provide all the information and the links exclusively to the patrons who give to the Patreon. And if you are on the main feed, this show was recorded about a week ago, and you could have got it a week in advance. Maybe some things changed. Maybe by now, Vince, in the future, Luke Falk and Chad Kelly were already signed by the league.
We can only hope.
Yeah, I would hope for sure for both of those guys, because I have them as two of my ideal XFL quarterbacks. As we were going through this list, I don't know if you were marking names. I marked a whole bunch of potentials that we'll post along with the show, the audio portion of the show. But my ideal guys, Vince, that I marked were Brett Rippon, Luke Falk, Chad Kelly, and I believe one more in the NFC, Jake Browning and Nick Fitzgerald.
Okay.
I guess, and then we'll throw Eric Dungey in there. And the theme a lot for mine are really young guys who are just stepping into the pros. But that's you want to get them. You want to get them while they're young and hungry and impressionable.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys out there that are ready to prove themselves. Did
you mark anybody specifically that I didn't mention?
I had the guys that you had written down there. I think that about covers it.
And again, if you're looking at quarterback camps in the NFL to keep an eye on with an XFL lens, my advice, Denver with Hogan and Rippon, and I think we said the Colts, right, with Walker and Chad Kelly. Were there any other teams that we should keep that you're going to watch?
Oh, well, I'll be watching the Giants. I'll be watching. Yeah, the Vikings probably. See Jake Browning. And Luke Falk. I'm interested to see what he does in New York.
Yeah, and you know what? Throw in the Patriots, even though we don't like them. Danny Etling. We'll see what happens. Maybe he beats out Jarrett Stidham and Stidham becomes available. You never know with Bill Belichick. But it's going to be really fun NFL training camp season this year because we're going to be watching this, for the XFL. If you're an XFL fan and looking forward to the league, quarterbacks who will play in the league are going to be in these NFL training camps. We just named pretty much all of them. And now you can go out and enjoy your July and August watching snippets on the NFL Network and perusing the internet. We'll continue to do so. Again, I want to thank all of our gentle patrons for giving to the Patreon, listening live. Anybody who subscribes to the feed, thank you so much. Tell your friends at XFL Show on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. For Vince, I'm Alan. This is the XFL Show. Remember,
they're listening.
This bonus show is made possible by listeners like you and our patrons. Go to patreon.com/thisisthexfl show and join a tier today. Tiers range from $1 to $25, and when you join, Patreon offers you extra bonus content related to the XFL like full shows, bonus shows, specialty shows, live shows, and a whole lot more. We also do a weekly show dedicated to all the football outside the XFL. It's all going down on patreon.com/thisisthexfl show. Thanks for listening, and keep on riding down the road to 2020 with us.
Thanks for watching and listening, XFL fans. Don't forget to tell us what you think in the comments below, or even better, hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all things XFL. Check out some of our other videos and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at XFL Show. This is the XFL Show is a production of Pretty Easy Podcasts.